Alright guys, welcome back to Roji Gaming. I just let the clear coat, or not the clear coat, but the base coat, just, it's dry, it's all dry now. I tagged it up here before the last time I put the last coat on there, so it's pretty, excuse me, it's pretty dry. So now we're just gonna throw on the clear coat, do a few passes. I like to do 3 because I like to wet sand it and buff it. Once that's done, it's pretty good. It's good to go. But like I said, what you want to do is you want to let it sit for like, I don't know. I like to let it sit for like 3 days, two or 3 days. Once I finish the clear coat, I'll leave it for 2 or 3 days, and then I'll come back and wet sand it. I don't like to do it right after because, like I said, it could, if you wet sand it and the clear hasn't dried and cooked yet, you can actually smear it, and then you're gonna have to sand it all down back to the base coat, and then do it all over again. Throw another pass of the base coat, and then do all the steps that I've already shown you, and then get it back ready to clear coat again, and then clear coat it. But yeah, let's get to it. See? And that's what we're gonna use, the duplicator clear coat. And I've already used the tack cloth on it, so there's no dust or anything on it. That's all you want to do. You don't want to sand it or anything. Once the base coat dries, run the tack cloth on it, and then that's when you just throw on the clear coat. And you got to be really careful not to get this thing to run, because it's super easy to get it to run, just like that paint, the base coat. You want to shake this stuff really well. And for this, I do like using a mask, because this and the base coat, most of the time I always wear a mask, because man, this stuff flies everywhere. I know this mask that I have on doesn't get rid of the vapors, but it does. It allows me not to suck in so much crap through my nose. And like I said on the past videos, you want to go over you want to overlap the base coat. So if my base coat's right here, you want to do the clear a little bit further. That way it bonds into the other clear coat that's already on there. Alrighty, so we're going to do a nice, smooth, not too thick coat of clear coat. And then our second pass is going to be a little heavier, and our third pass is going to be just as heavy as the second pass. So that's a light coat. Let it sit, let it dry. I sprayed up here just so I know how long it's gonna take for it to dry. And it already dried, I think. But just to be safe, I even sprayed down here. Yeah, it's still wet, so just leave it. Just leave it, let it dry, let it do its thing, and then come back and hit it again with a clear coat. I'm gonna do 2 more. And like I said, because when you buff it, and I mean when you wet sand it and then you buff it, you're actually taking some of that clear coat off to make it nice and smooth. So if you get a lot of like with the red, you know, the base coats that are red and sometimes the black, you can kind of see the fisheye stuff or the orange peel stuff. And that's why you want to buff it to get that as much of that out as possible. And it makes it really nice and clean and makes it really kind of mirror-like, so you can see, you know, you can see, like if you hold an item out in front of the paint job, once you buff it, you can actually see the reflection off the whatever part of the car that you're working on. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I usually don't do like quarter panels and stuff like that because it's easier for the customer to pay, you know, 100 to 200 or 300 compared to 500 to 1,000. You know, people, I'm not gonna lie, people are cheap, so a lot of the times they want to pay for something that's cheap. You know, they don't want to pay too much. That's the whole reason why they bring them to you and not to, you know, they don't take it to a body shop or something like that, because they would rather have a dent on their quarter panel than to pay, than to pay over $1,000, because people are cheap, you know, everybody wants to get a deal. So it's much easier to do work like this than to do work like on the roof of the vehicle, or, you know, a door or something like that. If the hood was damaged, I'd just be like, okay, you know what, I'll go somewhere, I can find you the hood, you pay for the hood, I'll show you the price of the hood, that way you know what you're paying for, and I'll just do the labor. You know, and I'll get the hood. If it needs to be primered, cool, I'll primer it. If it needs to be painted, I'll paint it. And usually for stuff like that, I'll actually hang it. I'll throw the hose on the floor, make sure it's nice and wet, no dust flies up, and then I'll turn on my compressor, get my spray gun, and then do it the right way. It comes out better with the spray, with the actual gun than these spray cans. I mean, that's just the way it is. But for this type of stuff, they wanted it to be, you know, somewhat decent. You know, as far as you can see, it actually looks pretty good already. Once I'm finished with this and it's buffed, man, this side's gonna be looking better than that side. Believe me. And you know, it doesn't really cost much. You know, this thing's like $10. The primer was like $9, I think. So overall, it's like, if you have the sandpaper and this stuff, the paper to cover, it's, you know, this stuff usually lasts you a long time. Usually I buy a roll. Just buy a roll, masking paper, and then just regular just masking tape. You don't want to use newspaper, because a lot of that newspaper stuff, it actually, when you spray it, the paint actually bounces off newspaper, and it can actually leave spots all over wherever you're painting. So, and spray cans do it too. Sometimes they'll clog up here in the front, It'll clog up right here in the front, and then once it gets a bunch of paint right there, it'll actually start spitting paint out. So sometimes you gotta wipe it off and then go again and then wipe it off. Just keep an eye out. Keep an eye out, because like I said, you don't want it to splatter all over your work. Let me see. I'm gonna make a video of how sometimes I detail them and remove stains. I actually got this like carpet cleaner thing that I bought from Sears. It actually works pretty well. But I'll do that on a different video, and I'll show you what I use to remove stains as well. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this video. I'm just gonna go over it with the clear coat a few more times, and I think that's it. Call it a day. And then I'll probably make a 5th video just to show you how it came out after it's buffed and everything's done, and I'll show you guys a video of it out in the sun so you guys can see how it actually came out, what it looks like under the sun. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Subscribe, please, and I'll keep you guys informed of how I do things.